All right, everybody. I think the the screen went black because this is what happens when you're when there's winter weather events going on. Is there's all this lead up, and while I'm sitting here trying to get final notes on the models, a extreme cold watch has been issued, and so this live update forecast trying to say what's going to happen ahead of time is turning into, hey, I'm breaking news on the air. This is what happens on these winter weather events. This is why these are exhausting sometimes. So I apologize if I seem a little like I'm kind of scrambling here, but I'm trying to get that graphic built so that I can throw that up here. But what I'll tell you is that we are looking right now at models starting to maybe change a little bit. And I was just on the phone with somebody, and everybody's kind of holding their breath a little bit right now because a couple of these models have been showing maybe a little bit of a delay in the freezing air, maybe slowing down a little bit. And that could affect things. That could affect what kind of impacts we have. That could affect how much precipitation we get or not. So there's different things that are happening, and I have a feeling here that what we're going to see over the next 24 hours is a big example of why some of us have waited to be so specific. Because we're going to be getting this short range, high resolution data in, and it looks like some of it has a bit of a different opinion on what to expect here. So what we're looking at right now, and I'll work on that graphic here in a moment, and you're probably just going to be sitting here watching me work for a little bit. But here's what we have for right now. We have tons of clouds. That disturbance that brought some rain to us is still in place here. And we've got temperatures moving into the low 60s here, a little bit cooler where we have cloud cover still, but those clouds are clearing out to the west. And so that's where things stand in our area. If we zoom this out a little bit, a little cooler out to the west, though. There is a weak front moving in, and that will bring some north winds in. It may briefly cool us down, but I think that our warming trend will continue today. And so, we'll have temperatures that probably top out. What did we have for, let's see, what did we have for today? I got to pull the forecast. That's one of the things that happens when I'm so worried about, or so focused on, not worried, but focused on a weekend event, you kind of forget what's going to happen during the week. So temperatures are already, in the low 60s here, and I had around 60 for our high, so we may actually get above that a little bit. But I'm also curious to see if we cool down at all with this weak front coming through. I doubt it. Tonight we're in the low 40s. Tomorrow mid 50s for our highs, mid 40s overnight, and then Friday everything changes. I want to show you, though. I want to zoom out to the whole country because I want to show you out west, the western coast here, right off the coast of California, or really it's coming on shore now. Here's our system. So it's just now getting on shore. We've been talking about this system pretty intensely for the last several days. It's just now moving ashore. And so as it does, models will start to see how it behaves, and that may be one of the times that we see some big updates here. That's why I'm so conservative with what I tell you, and tell you that, number one, everything is subject to change. Not only that, but that we really have to be careful being so certain with certain things. We have to be conservative is really the best word there. We just have to be careful as well. With the way we say things. People were advertising this to be as bad as, if not worse, than 2021. And I think that's going to be, I think folks are going to find that was a mistake. And find out that we should all know this lesson by now, but models just do what they want to do. And, sometimes we get a lot of uncertainty. So as with our update yesterday, the Euro model is still rendering, so we'll go to that one last. But I want to show you first the two most aggressive models. So we're just going to switch gears over to that here. And so here is the GFS model. The GFS model has been the most aggressive this entire time. We saw how it briefly pushed that precipitation way over into Sunday, possibly even into Monday. It's since pulled that back. So let's show you kind of precipitation wise. There's really two elements to watch here: temperatures and precipitation. I want to show you temperatures first, and I think Pivotal is still having some rough times today, so we may have to be patient with it here. It is just not, man. Poor Pivotal weather, guys. They have been, I think, struggling to keep up with all of the. Let's see if maybe this will work. I think they've been struggling to keep up with all of the traffic over the last few days, and there's a lot of it. Obviously, this is one of the biggest events this season. Oh, but it sure would be nice if it would work. But our backup here. Okay, well, we're going to have to switch gears here. The good news is that Radar Omega. Oh, there we go. Radar Omega has these models too, but it doesn't have as many as Pivotal. So that's why I'm trying to just stick with one platform. But if Pivotal doesn't work, then that's not much use to us, is it? Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna. Oh man, yeah. People are looking at it's the Euros coming in, so people are flooding Pivotal to get a look at that. Is what's happening there. But let me see. Maybe we can pull it up at least on Radar Omega here. Let's just do that. Okay, let's just pull it up on Radar Omega, and we will go that route, and then we'll see if Pivotal weather is going to catch up. Oh, look! As soon as I shift gears, Pivotal wakes up. So I apologize for bouncing around. I'm trying to use what's going to work here. We'll just keep Radar Omega in the background as a backup. So here's what we're seeing as far as GFS model is concerned. As we get into Friday, so as far as when we reach and drop below freezing, it's early Saturday morning. At this point, I don't know that we're going to have anything, and I'm seeing this more and more. I think that we will probably be limited to I was looking at comments here. Channel 8 says 2 to 4 inches of snow and ice. Kevin says we possibly maybe could or could not slightly get or not get a little bit of a precipitation, and be careful of conservative in his hypothesis. So I can't speak to what other people are saying, and I'm sorry if I sound like I'm not confident in what I'm doing, but trust me, there's a reason that I'm not telling you anything for certain at this point. So that GFS model gives us about 3 a.m. ish. 3 to 6 a.m. is our window per the GFS for dropping below freezing. And I don't know that any of the models at this point show prior to midnight Saturday morning. So overnight is what we're looking at. I don't see anything freezing on Friday. Friday is just rain. But the thing is that we will get a decent amount of rain, at least per most of the models at this point. And all of that freezes overnight. And I don't see the rain stopping before that point. So whatever's on the ground freezes. So ice, when we talk about the ice situation, it's not just the freezing rain. We're going to be getting rain all through Friday, and then it freezes overnight. So that's part of the issue here. Now, at the same time, the roads take longer to get colder, but they're going to have plenty of time, as you'll see. So GFS shows us, dropping below freezing by the time we get to early Saturday morning. And then here's the thing. By the time we get to Monday morning, the GFS is showing these single digits here, and we have, Monday morning, we have those single digits in the forecast. Now, I don't think we're quite getting as cold as the GFS is advertising. The tricky part is, though, topography can affect your temperatures. So while I have 8 degrees as the low Sunday night, Monday morning, if you're in a lower area, you're going to be where that coldest air is just going to congregate. And I live in one of those. I'm in one of those myself. So I know a lot about this. But, my forecast may be 8. You may reach 5. as a low because you're in one of those cooler areas. And not everybody's like that. It's not the average, right? But it's the lower end of the average, right? So, and then, we stay below freezing Monday afternoon. Per this model, some other models have us getting just above freezing. It's going to be close. People are asking me, when do we get above freezing? What does school look like on Monday? And Sunday and Monday both look pretty close in terms of whether they get to or above that freezing line. So that tells me not only will it take a while to get there, both of those days, it'll be in the afternoon before we're even above freezing, but it may not be there very long. So we may not be able to thaw out very much before we refreeze the following night. So that will be part of what we have to consider when it comes to school work, that kind of thing. I've already gotten one cancellation. I think we'll show that later. But the GFS model has us getting some single digits again when we go into early Tuesday morning. And I think we're in the teens. Models haven't been as aggressive with that. So let's move on to the Canadian model. This is one of the other more aggressive models here. Let me pull that back. So the Canadian model, and I made notes here, so I'm trying to follow those too. The Canadian model is definitely one of the more aggressive when it comes to, let's look at the timing here. So again, below freezing early Saturday morning. Like I said, at this point, I think we can probably rule out Friday night. It looks like it's going to be midnight or later, early Saturday morning, that we drop below freezing. So that at least helps Friday, gives us a little more time. Brian, Kevin hinting, is this as a bus non-event? No, I'm not sure where you got that. I'm not sure where you heard that, Brian. Haven't said that yet. So, but we freeze early Saturday morning, and the Canadian model has gotten on board with these single digit temperatures early Monday morning. So that's why I was more comfortable putting that in the forecast, and it does do a pretty good job of the models are coalescing around that. And I yesterday, you'll remember, I said that seemed a little far-fetched, but the models are starting to coalesce around that idea a little more. And then Tuesday morning, I think teens, it shows some singles here like the GFS did, but I think teens is good enough there. And then Wednesday, still showing 30s, So, I mean, as we talked about why this is not like 2021. So we may see several days next week of very cold air. Is it going to be 10 days below freezing? No. That's not what I see right now, and I see no evidence of that. But it's going to be cold next week. There are so many people that at Christmas time, because Christmas was warm, were telling me that winter was over. This is why I said it wasn't. I said we have January and February to go. So overall, though, the Canadian model is still one of the more aggressive models, keeping us pretty cold. And then, there are people already telling me, hey, the end of the month, we are so far away from that. I'm not even paying any attention to that at this point. Now, we look at the UK model. This is one of the contrasts here of where the models get a little less aggressive here. Come on, Pivotal. Let's get things going here. Again, it's very slow. There's a lot of people that are checking these, so the Pivotal servers are probably crumbling under the weight. So, cold front comes in Friday afternoon. The UK model has us not dropping below freezing until Saturday. And really a slow progression through the day Saturday. So this is quite a bit different. This is one of the changes that people have been noting today, where, really it kind of cuts our area in half by midday, early afternoon Saturday. Some of us are below freezing, some of us are still above. And then by 3, 4, 5 o'clock, all of us are below freezing. And what's interesting too is it kind of shows the coldest air almost going kind of around to the west. Let's see if we can get this moving here. No, I think it's frozen on us again, ironically enough. Man, why is it that every time I jump on a live stream, it starts slowing down? Because everybody's looking at it at the same time I did too. So the UK model is less aggressive here. It's not showing as much as early a transition temperature-wise. That would be helpful because, again, that gives more time. Here we go. I think it's finally caught up. That gives more time for us to prepare for those temperatures. But, I mean, it does still show pretty cold temperatures, but it does not show temperatures as cold. This shows Monday morning in the teens. I would be completely fine with that, right? I would be completely fine with that. So the UK model not showing single digits and then showing teens for Monday morning and showing, 20s really for Tuesday morning. So not as cold a forecast there. Now, we've been talking about these higher resolution data models. One of those is the NAM model, and that is the North American model. So as we push that one forward, let's take a look at what that has for us. It's been less aggressive as well. And that is more in the camp of, see, this shows early Saturday morning a progression of freezing, but it shows a much slower progression. You can see that some of us are right on that freezing line around 6 a.m. Saturday. That's when we usually hit our lows. And then that's 9 a.m. Saturday, noon Saturday, 3 o'clock Saturday, 6 o'clock Saturday. And some, Waco's still right on that line. So it shows a very tight, gradient here in terms of temperatures, but it shows a much less aggressive, much more conservative progression of those temperatures. And with that, of course, will be the progression of the freezing precipitation as well. So again, this is why sometimes, 3 days out, we start to see these changes in the models because that higher resolution data is coming in. That's when the storm is coming ashore. And, we have to sometimes yield to those. Let's see what we can get from the European model and see which direction it's going here. The Euro model's been kind of waffling back and forth too. So let's see how far we can get here. I think we can get far enough. So the European model, that's Saturday at 9 a.m. And the freezing temperatures are just getting south of the Metroplex. That's 12. So again, the European model now showing this slower progression of those freezing temperatures southward and really having to work at it. 20s, teens and 20s, really for our area, probably more 20s, going into, let's see, that's going into Sunday morning. And then just not as cold. Obviously very cold up, Oklahoma, Missouri up that way. But for our area, just not as cold, not as aggressive. So we have the UK model, the NAM, and the European model now all kind of saying, whoa, slowing things down, starting to really pull things back. GFS is sticking to its guns. Canadian is going that way too. But again, this is where you can have all the model consensus in the world. You start getting closer. This is when things start getting chaotic. That 2 to 3 day window when things start going, okay, now we got high resolution data. Now it's starting to change and can really move things around. So I know that some of you are going to be praying for that less aggressive model. Some of you are praying for snow. Really want snow. So let's shift gears. Let's look at precipitation modalities here. Let's actually look at, all the different kind of changes. So here's the GFS model, and this is Saturday morning, 3 a.m. So again, with alongside, of course, is with the temperatures, the temperature progression below freezing. That's going to drive the change in precipitation. So this shows a fair amount of freezing rain here. And then the sleet in purple, but this doesn't show much snow. Now, when I say that, you also see these two distinct waves of rain, of precipitation, because some of that will be freezing. One moving out by Saturday night, and then one late Saturday, early Sunday that would probably bring more snow, but once again, more sleet, more freezing rain. This is pretty normal for our area. We have a tendency in our area to be where most of the snow stays north of us. this looks like just a repeat of that pattern, right? And we're kind of used to that here. Let's take a look at the Canadian, which again is one of the more aggressive models we have. Here comes all the rain Friday. Again, don't discount the rain on Friday, because whatever falls and stays on the ground Friday night freezes by Saturday morning. So freezing rain, sleet, and then all of it gets out of here. The other thing too is that models are pretty uniform right now, that precipitation is getting out of here by early Sunday morning. Now, it's not freezing away by then. I've already had a couple of pastors reach out and go, hey, what's Sunday morning look like? And, we're to the point now where we have to pay attention to the fact that the precipitation may not be falling by time, church time, Sunday morning, but nothing's frozen or nothing's thawed by then, most likely. If we do thaw anything on Sunday, it's going to be in the afternoon. It's going to be later in the day. So still plenty of freezing precipitation. You see that the Canadian model pretty much just kind of gives up on that second round of precip there. And I say that. If anything, it's kind of bleeding them together so that there's just kind of one continuous area of precipitation, which would be problematic. And again, when it comes to how much, when exactly are we going to change from freezing rain to sleet to snow? Number one, I think most of what we're going to get is a mix of those. It's going to be hard to say before the day of, and almost as it happens, what time you're going to go from one to the other because it's just really hard to say ahead of time. It's hard to say hours before exactly when you're going to go from one to the other. Because that warm air aloft that can sometimes determine whether it's sleet or snow or whatever, sometimes that sticks around a lot longer than you think it will. And I've been in the position where I said, hey, we're not going to get any snow because that warm air aloft is still there. But we actually got like a it was that rice snow. I don't know if you remember that. But we got snow, but there was clear evidence that it wasn't as uniform as it could have been because we still had that ever so slightly thin, warm layer of air that prevented it from being those perfect little snowflakes. And we'll talk more about that as we go forward. I'll probably make a post about that later today. So let's go to the less aggressive model now, which is our UK model. This is interesting. So the rain comes in Friday. This shows much more aggressive on the rain on the front end of the storm system. But as we go, not that much wintry precipitation until Saturday. Of course, again, this is showing a progression to freezing during the day Saturday, as opposed to overnight, early Saturday morning. And then it shows, if anything, maybe Sunday night or Saturday night into early Sunday being the heavier precip that comes through. So that second round, that second wave being heavier than the first. So the UK model is almost kind of stepping out on its own here. But let's check that Euro model, man. The Euro has been much more conservative here as well. So let's push this forward here. Okay, we've got our rain on Friday, plenty of that. Maybe lighter rain, though, not as heavy. But, okay, so plenty of freezing rain, basically I-20 northward. This is, again, one of those models that shows a later progression to freezing. So more rain here for our area, less frozen precipitation until we get to Saturday night. And maybe on the backside of that, getting some more freezing precipitation. But again, by early Sunday, it's out of here. So that's where we stand. The GFS and the Canadian models, much more aggressive. The European and UK models, which I guess is fitting, or the European and UK models, and at this point, the higher resolution North American model being much more conservative here. Let's look at the NAM and what it gives us precipitation-wise. So still rain at midnight Saturday, and then changing over early Saturday morning, but more spotty, not as widespread. And kind of like the UK model, the NAM model gives us the backside of it, maybe a quick shot of heavier sleet. I would say a mix at this point, Saturday afternoon. And I'll be interested to see what the NAM does with this back here, kind of this back side of it. What is it trying to do here? Is this trying to give us a heavier second wave on early Sunday? We'll have to wait and see what that does. And we'll get more high resolution data this evening and tonight, and so on and so forth. So what does all this tell us? Well, this tells us that things are kind of uncertain again. We have to watch and see what this does. And I do want to provide a few just kind of reviews of where we stand on a few things here. So first of all, we do have our winter storm watch. And this goes into effect at noon Friday until 6 a.m. Sunday. This is out there for the precipitation, the freezing rain, sleet, and snow that could very well lead to ice on the ground and that kind of thing. And, you know, it's very cold temperatures. Regardless of which way you go, you have to kind of look at... you have to look and see just how things go, right? And the watches, of course, are going to say, and remember, a watch doesn't mean it's happening or guaranteed. It means that things are, it means that we're letting you know what's possible. So even if models are going back and forth, this watch is going to stay in place and likely not change much because the winter storm watch covers kind of a broad spectrum of different things. Let me see here. And I also want to get to this. Now, I posted this earlier and I haven't quite... let me see here. Just one second. Getting a lot of messages here. So trying to triage here. So here's the timeline I posted this morning. This may well change this evening. In fact, I'll probably try to get this updated this evening, depending on which way we start to see the models go. And we've got, Friday AM, rain begins, maybe some rumbles of thunder. That's pretty much stays the same. Now, Friday midday, the cold front moves in. I don't see a whole lot of disagreement there. If anything, we're looking at how quickly is the Arctic air, the much colder air, going to, filter in behind the front. Is it going to be pretty fast? Is it going to be slower? That sort of thing. So that's where that stands right now. You have to understand that the Arctic air isn't going to immediately start with the front. Sometimes it takes a while to filter in. Overnight, early Saturday. At this point, we're looking pretty much at early Saturday. After midnight Saturday, temperatures drop below freezing. Wintry precipitation starts with freezing rain. Lows in the 20 with wind chills in the teens. It's going to be breezy at this point as well. It's going to be a little windy. So wherever the temperatures are, as low as those are, wind chills will be even lower. Now, something to remember is that the wind chill only affects basically biological beings, right? So our pets will feel it, we'll feel it. Inanimate objects don't. They only feel the air temperature. The wind, what it is the wind makes it feel colder because of the way it hits our skin and that sort of thing. Saturday, winter precipitation all day. That could change. That's one of the things that we're looking at is when do we drop below freezing? That could be later in the day, Saturday. Starting with a mix of freezing rain and sleet, then mostly sleet, then a mix of sleet and snow. I do think we'll get at least some snow mixed in, but how much is very much unclear. Timelines unclear for each type, highs in the upper 20s with wind chills in the teens. And then overnight, early Sunday, winter precipitation continues, likely sleet snow mix, lows in the teens with winds calming down. So less windy Sunday and Sunday night into Monday there. Early or Saturday night and into Sunday. And then Sunday, the precipitation shifts east. Temperatures climb into the low 30s. Some may get above freezing for a time before we get cold again after peak heating. So it's going to be close, right? It's going to be close. We'll have to wait and see what kind of confidence we have to push above freezing, or do we just keep that below? Overnight into Monday morning, though, temperatures drop to the single digits, so we're very cold again. Anything that thaws is going to refreeze. Anything that thaws and isn't evaporated, right? Temperatures drop below to the single digits. Coldest period of the event will be during this time, most likely. Any remaining moisture refreezes. That's how we have that potential for cobblestone ice. Cobblestone ice is where the ice is it's thawed enough and maybe broken up enough, but then it refreezes. So sometimes that cobblestone ice can be a little more rugged, those kinds of things. And then Monday, temperatures warm again to the low to mid 30s. We have a better chance Monday of getting above freezing. That has not changed from what I've seen. So we have a better chance that day of warming up above freezing there. So that's what we're looking at. And Brian, you're saying, Kevin, is the Euro historically more accurate in events like this? People have said that. I don't really give any one model any credence. Every model is going to have its flaws. It's going to have things it's better at. I've heard that over time, but I've also been burned by the Euro model before. So I really don't like to say one model is better than the other one, because what does that tell you? Well, I'm just going to watch that one model. That's not the way you do it. So I really try not to give favoritism to any models. What I will say is once we get the higher resolution data, once we're a day or two out, we're pretty much going to hone in on those close range models and start to kind of leave those longer range models behind. So the Euro, the GFS, the UK, the Canadian, those things will become more irrelevant as more of that high resolution data comes in, and especially as this system comes ashore on the West Coast. So I really, there's a lot of bias that loves the European model. There's a lot of bias that, sticks by the GFS. Everybody has their favorite. Everybody has their preferences. I try not to have one. And it's not one of those, you can't love one of your kids more than the other one. I'm very, I've seen all of them do well, and I've seen all of them fail. So I don't have enough experience personally to say, yeah, one's better than the other one, or that one, needs to be listened to while the rest of them aren't be paying any attention. So that's just the way it is. It's you're going to have a really hard time getting an answer out of me. Which model is the best? Which one do I need to use? Because it's not that simple, at least not to me. So let's just get into, we've looked at the timelines here. Let's just look at the forecast. Again, this may change this evening, and I'll probably post an updated forecast this evening, just depending on how things go with the models. If I feel like I have enough confidence and consistency there, I may want to wait until tomorrow morning, but we'll see. So today, low 60s for our highs. Let's see. I'll have to update this on the website, because I changed the forecast a few times this morning for today's highs, watching those. So I'll get that updated there. But looking at the low 60s for highs today, we're kind of already there, but that weak front will come through and slow down our warming. Tomorrow, mid 50s, excuse me. Tomorrow night, mid 40s. And then things change Friday. So temperatures will be dropping through the day. The front arrives around midday, maybe early afternoon. Stephen, yes. So let the viewers know that Heritage Air is available all weekend for emergency heater breakdowns. Thank you, Stephen, for throwing that in there, because, man, Heritage Air, the last time I had them come out on the weekend, they didn't charge extra for the weekend. You can't ask for anything better than that. And their service was impeccable. They were quick. It was easy. They were informative. I had a issue with my AC that it kept going out at one point. And they were able to help me figure out why and parse that up and take care of that. That was in the middle of the summer. So they will keep things going for you. And we'll talk about power outages in a moment. But Heritage Air, definitely there. When it comes to electrical issues, we have Cool Hand Electric, and they are fantastic. Now, Cool Hand Electric can't fix the transformer that gets blown or the power lines that fall. So, not great for that. But if it's a localized issue at your specific house, they can probably help with that. So the forecast here, we get this rain on Friday, and we are still looking at whether or not the wintry precipitation starts overnight into Saturday morning, or does that wait until Saturday afternoon? That is going to be one of the questions that we have to grapple with here. Plenty of precipitation in the area, I think, but whether it's rain or snow or ice or whatever, that's one of the questions, because we start seeing those models starting to back off a little bit. But we'll see. The GFS model, people started getting in my messages going, hey, the GFS model said it's going to snow Monday. That was one run. It corrected itself immediately after that. So that's why you can't live and die with every model run. Saturday, at some point, whether it's early morning or afternoon, we will transition over to freezing precipitation. in the 20s all day. We're going to stay cold. The coldest air arrives Saturday night, Sunday night, and Monday night, frankly. The coldest of that likely Sunday night. Sunday, we may get above freezing for a short time, but we'll be right back to very cold temperatures there Sunday night into Monday. And when it comes to that Monday morning commute, I'm really looking at this, and I've had some schools ask me, and I'm still kind of, I still play coy with that a little bit because I don't want to tell them what to do and they blame me for making the wrong decision. But Monday morning, I don't know if a delay is going to be enough, because it's going to take, if we get above freezing, it's going to be in the afternoon. Now, if we get more sun behind this system, if we're able to clear these clouds out and the sun comes out, even if we're not quite to freezing, the sun's going to warm up that pavement and start clearing out some of that ice off the roads. So we may be surprised if we can get the sun out early enough on Sunday, or at least get enough of it. That will help Monday morning significantly, because we'll clear off. I don't think we get additional precipitation at that point. Without the additional precipitation, whatever we clear off the roads Monday morning, there won't be anything to refreeze. However, if it stays there, if it's still there and we can't unfreeze it and all that kind of thing, can't thaw it out, can't clear it out, Monday morning's still going to be a mess. Through the day Monday, if we get above freezing, it's going to be brief. So if we still have stuff on the roads, we have a better chance Monday of getting above freezing. But if it's still on the roads, it's going to freeze over again Monday night into Tuesday. And then Tuesday, we're pretty much headed for around 40 degrees, at least right now. So that should be plenty enough to clear everything out. Should be done by Wednesday. So it's too early to say, hey, is school going to open on Monday? I would say at this point, if things stay the same as they are now, probably not very likely. However, we have to wait and see. So they're probably going to wait until Monday morning. They usually do, especially now. They're going to wait until Monday morning to decide on schools. People will be asking me Sunday morning what the schools are going to do. I won't be able to answer you, okay? And I'm also not going to speak for the schools before they decide. So there's going to be a lot of frustrated people on Sunday when I'm not giving them the answers they want. But I'm just telling you now, I'm not going to speak for schools until they speak, and I'm not going to prophesy too much on what they're going to do ahead of time. That's just, the way that's going to go. So that's what we're seeing right now. I know we're over 40 minutes here, and I know a lot of people have probably tuned out and gotten the information they want. I'm going to do kind of a brief recap for the page. I'll throw that up there in just a quick, hey, here's kind of what we said. So that's what we're seeing. So thank you so much for tuning in here. There's going to be more updates. We are far from done here. Models are, and I know that some people are, as somebody's already said it, Marquis, you've already said this might end up being a big model bust. I'm always marveled at how quickly people make decisions based on they jump to conclusions at the first inkling of doubt, the first moment there's any reason to say differently. Mayor Galaviz, I'm sorry if I butchered that, but 1 p.m. call with the National Weather Service. I assume so. I'm not on those calls. That's, generally for the schools and those kind of folks, emergency managers and the like. So I would assume so, but I'm not on those calls myself. So I don't know what that schedule is, but I'm sure they will have you guys on calls going forward here. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. I have to go. Unfortunately, I have to go to the store. I gotta pick up dog food, and I'm probably gonna be getting some snacks, too, if there's any left. But I gotta get dog food. Ran out of that today. That was like the one thing I didn't check before I went to the store earlier this week. So again, thank you for tuning in. More updates to come. Again, Extreme Cold Watch was just issued. I'll get that posted on the page this afternoon, and that winter storm watch is in place as well. We will keep watching the models. We'll keep watching to see what the forecast does, and I will probably post an updated forecast this evening to kind of reflect if there's any changes that we see in the models that are significant and consistent enough to communicate those changes. Again, thank you so much. Get ready for this thing. You've got 2 days. You got the rest of today and tomorrow. Friday looks rainy. So make sure that you are staying prepared here as we go forward through the next few days.
I don't know what it means, but there's a smile upon your face, and I see something shimmering in your eyes. And they say if you want to glimpse the future, you need space.